I cheated on my husband of 17 years and thought I'd get away with it forever. Then he found out and destroyed the life I thought I could keep after betraying him. Betrayal Diaries. I cheated on my husband of 17 years, convinced I'd never get caught. Then he exposed everything. Now the only thing I have left from our marriage is regret. I cheated on my husband of 18 years and convinced myself I'd never get caught. Now I'm sitting alone in a furnished rental apartment eating microwave noodles while my entire life burns down around me. And honestly, I don't even know if I deserve advice or just judgment. I'm 44. My ex-husband, Bennett Cross, is 46. We were together since college. Built everything from scratch together. Tiny apartment with stained carpet, used furniture, overdraft fees, cheap anniversary dinners where we split one dessert because we couldn't afford two. The whole cliché. And for a long time, we were happy. Bennett owns a commercial woodworking company now. Custom interiors for restaurants, luxury condos, boutique hotels. The business exploded over the last decade. He worked nonstop for years to build it. Long days, early mornings, constant pressure. I work as an operations director for a hospitality group overseeing multiple high-end resorts across the Southeast region. My job is constant movement, flights, meetings, crisis management, employees quitting, VIP guests complaining because their imported mineral water was the wrong temperature. Everything in my life felt fast. Everything about my marriage felt still, not bad, not abusive, not even unhappy exactly. Just stale, predictable. Like we had quietly turned into two responsible adults managing a household together instead of two people actually in love. I know how horrible that sounds now. Bennett was a good man. The kind of man people pray for. Loyal, calm, dependable. The guy who remembered birthdays, filled my gas tank when he borrowed my car, brought me coffee before I even asked. And somehow, I stopped seeing him. That's the part that makes me sick now. I stopped seeing the man who loved me because he became familiar. Then I met Caleb Mercer. He was 38, airline captain, divorced, confident in that effortless way some people are. The kind of person who walks into a room already comfortable in his own skin. We met at the rooftop bar of one of my hotels after his flight got delayed overnight. I was answering emails on my laptop with a glass of wine beside me when he looked over and said, "You look like you're one spreadsheet away from a nervous breakdown." I laughed. That was it. That's how stupidly easy it started. We talked for hours about travel, burnout, marriage, aging, regret. When he asked for my number, I knew I shouldn't give it to him. I did anyway. The affair started 3 weeks later. First it was texting, then private calls, then hotel rooms. I became someone I barely recognize now. I bought a second phone with cash, created fake work itineraries, used corporate travel as cover. I knew exactly which credit cards Bennett never checked. I learned how to delete messages fast enough that it became muscle memory. Tuesday afternoons became vendor meetings. Thursday nights became late property inspections. Every lie got easier after the first one. And the terrifying part? I never felt guilty while it was happening. Not really. I felt alive. That's the truth nobody wants to admit. Affairs aren't usually about love. They're about escape, ego, validation, fantasy. Caleb made me feel exciting again. Desired, interesting. Not somebody's wife. Not somebody discussing roof repairs and retirement contributions over grilled chicken at 7 p.m. I told myself I deserved happiness. I told myself Bennett had stopped trying. I told myself our marriage had been dead for years. Funny how cheaters always rewrite history to survive what they're doing. Meanwhile, Bennett stayed exactly the same. Still kind, still patient, still trusting. One night, I came home after spending the afternoon with Caleb at a hotel almost 2 hours away. Bennett was cooking pasta. He smiled when I walked in and asked if I'd had a rough day. I remember standing there staring at him while his hands moved casually around the kitchen, like this man had absolutely no idea his wife had just slept with someone else. And instead of feeling shame, I felt annoyed. Annoyed that he was so predictable. God, writing that makes me hate myself. Things shifted around month 4. At first, it was subtle. Bennett stopped asking questions. I'd say I was traveling overnight, and he'd just nod. No curiosity, no concern, no checking in. At first I thought it was convenient, then it started bothering me. He seemed lighter somehow, happier. He started going to the gym again, bought new clothes, started listening to music while cooking, smiled at his phone sometimes. One Friday I came home expecting tension because I'd ignored 3 of his calls earlier while I was with Caleb. Instead, I found Bennett in the backyard drinking bourbon by the fire pit, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in years. "You okay?" I asked. "Better than okay," he said. That should have scared me. it didn't, because cheaters are arrogant. We think we're smarter than everyone else. Around that same time, Bennett started reorganizing finances. Nothing dramatic, just little conversations. We should simplify accounts. We should update paperwork. My attorney recommended restructuring some business protections. I barely listened. I signed documents without reading them because financial stuff was always his area. One afternoon, he handed me a stack of papers while I was texting Caleb under the kitchen counter. "Just need signatures," he said casually. I signed everything. Didn't read a single page. Not one. 3 weeks later, my entire world detonated. It happened on a Monday. I came home from what Bennett believed was a regional conference. In reality, I'd spent the weekend with Caleb at a resort in Arizona. I walked into the house dragging my suitcase and immediately knew something was wrong. The living room looked empty. Not physically empty, emotionally empty, like the house already belonged to someone else. Then I saw the dining table. There was a manila folder sitting perfectly centered on the wood, my name written on it. Inside were printed screenshots, hotel receipts, security camera stills, photos of me kissing Caleb in hotel elevators, phone records, bank statements, dates, timelines, everything, months of evidence. My stomach dropped so hard I genuinely thought I might pass out. Then Bennett walked in from the kitchen. Calm, completely calm. That was the worst part. Not anger, not screaming, just calm. "How long?" he asked. I couldn't even speak. He nodded slowly like he already knew every answer anyway. 7 months, he said quietly. Started in March. I remember whispering, "Bennett." And he held up his hand. "No lies tonight. I'm too tired for more lies." I started crying immediately. Full panic mode, apologizing, explaining, saying it didn't mean anything. He just listened. Then he said something I will hear in my head for the rest of my life. "You destroyed our marriage for excitement." Not yelling, not dramatic, just disappointment. And somehow, that hurt worse. Then he slid another folder across the table. Divorce papers. Signed, prepared, organized. He'd known for months. Months. Apparently, one of his employees saw me with Caleb at a hotel bar in another city. Bennett hired a private investigator after that. And while I was busy sneaking around feeling clever, my husband was quietly preparing to remove me from his life. Remember those financial documents I signed? Yeah. Postnuptial agreements, asset protections, business separation filings, everything legal, everything airtight. His company was protected. Most investments were protected. The house had already been transferred into a trust structure weeks earlier. My attorney later told me Bennett's preparation was devastatingly thorough. I walked into the divorce thinking I'd get half. I walked out realizing I barely understood the battlefield I'd stepped onto. And Bennett? He never once tried to humiliate me publicly, which honestly made me feel even worse. He didn't post online, didn't tell our family's details, didn't scream, didn't threaten me. He simply removed me from his life with surgical precision. By the time I understood how serious he was already emotionally gone. That's the thing nobody tells you. Men don't always explode when they stop loving you. Sometimes they go cold. And cold is terrifying. I tried everything after that, begging, crying, promises, therapy, letters. I even ended things with Caleb immediately, which turned out to be laughably meaningless because the fantasy collapsed the second real consequences appeared. You know what Caleb said when my marriage ended? "I didn't think you'd actually leave him." That sentence snapped something inside me, because suddenly I realized I had detonated an 18-year marriage for a man who viewed me as entertainment. Bennett moved out before the divorce finalized. 3 months later, I heard through mutual friends he was dating someone new, a pediatric surgeon, age 41, apparently kind, intelligent, beautiful. Good for him, seriously. And me? I downsized from a 6-bedroom home into this tiny rental apartment. Most nights, I sit here replaying every selfish decision that led me here. I betrayed the one person who never betrayed me, and the worst part is realizing Bennett probably would have fought for our marriage if I'd been honest before the affair. Instead, I lied until there was nothing left worth saving. So I guess I'm here asking, has anyone else destroyed their own life like this? And if you did, how did you live with yourself afterward?